Caleb, it's great to see you today.
Likewise, Rob, how you doing?
I've been doing very well. It's kind of raining outside, which is much better than the snow we had here in Florida a couple of weeks ago. But if you hear a little extra noise, it's because of that rain.
Good stuff. Well, I know it never lasts for long there, so enjoy it while it's there.
The sun will be out by this afternoon, and we'll be able to enjoy life again.
Coming from Ireland, you guys in Florida don't know what rain really is.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to the UK next week, and
Oh,
it's
nice. You'll
32
get a
degrees,
proper taste there.
32 degrees Fahrenheit, and windy as heck
Yeah.
all week while we're there.
All right, wrap up.
I will. But my wife and I are excited. We're going to go to a Premier League football game, and
Nice.
excited to take that in. And we'll try to bundle up while we're there, though.
That'll be fun.
Well,
Good stuff.
well, since the last time you and I spoke, of course, we're working on a SaaS product that we're looking to launch. We've hired the developers, and they're in progress. And you've been hard at work at thinking through the marketing approach. And you and I haven't actually discussed this, but thought that this would probably be something that somebody might be interested in looking in on, so that as they do their own marketing, they can see exactly your approach to thinking through product positioning, copywriting, and really all the preparation that goes into creating those multi-million dollar winners, as you've become so famous for doing.
Yeah, I think this will really be awesome. I think it'll be an awesome education to kind of take people behind the scenes and show them how we are designing and building an advertising campaign to sell this SaaS. I think is pretty cool. So, I am going to throw something up on my screen here. The whole idea here is, number one, obviously to research the prospect and kind of start putting the building blocks of a great advertising campaign together to go and sell this SaaS to internet business owners that we are creating here. So one of the primary initial jobs that I do, at least, is I try and identify this urgent dilemma that the person is in. I'm always trying to identify the most motivated buyer segment in a given niche, because by targeting the category of prospect that is most motivated, most likely to purchase a solution, I increase the likelihood of us creating a successful campaign astronomically. So not all problems are created equal. Not all dilemmas are created equal. And really what I'm looking for always, my entire approach to advertising is to try and find a prospect that has a problem that kind of has, him or her caught between a rock and a hard place. And once in that rock and a hard place, it's extremely emotional. It's a real hotbed of emotion that is driving this person to desperately need a solution. When I can target that type of person, I have found in my career, in my experience in advertising, that significantly increases the likelihood of, creating a winner. So I put a lot of time, energy, and attention into creating what I call an urgent dilemma. And in doing so, in going about this activity, I gained this tremendous understanding of who I'm speaking to and what is really going on in that person's life. The overarching idea in terms of creating a urgent dilemma is really to, when it comes time to putting this stuff into the copy, is to really make the prospect feel, wow, this is me. This is exactly me. And, like your words are landing like lightning in my heart and in my mind. It's like as if you crawled into my head and you know exactly what's going on in my mind. And as a result, says the prospect, I feel like, you're the only person that truly understands me and therefore are the only person qualified to assist me in getting a solution. At the end of the day, the person who most intimately knows the prospect is going to win. So this urgent dilemma is a very strategic thing to nail down, when launching something, because everything kind of springs from this. And really at a high level, if you kind of make the wrong move and you select the wrong person, or if you are 5 degrees away from bullseye, well, then, you can mess the whole project up if everything is going to be based off of this. So first of all, I've created this urgent dilemma around the prospect that I myself feel is going to be the type of prospect that is most likely to buy what it is that we have to offer, Rob. And secondly, I'm really presenting this to you for the very first time because I know that you have tremendous experience. You're dealing with a lot of our exact type of clients for this product. And therefore, I feel that, perhaps there's few people more qualified and more experienced than you to let me know whether this is on track or this is 5 degrees off of bullseye or 10 degrees or more. So,
Yeah.
this is not copy though. This is just behind the scenes, behind the curtain, data that just makes us align. So it's not like this is brilliant advertising copy that's going to go into a sales message or anything.
Well, and most people start by creating a product, or maybe the most advanced start by creating some headlines and bullet ideas, the benefits of what they're creating. And what I love about working with you is that we always focus on the customer first and dive into who we're selling to. And I'd love, before we're done, there's a story that I've heard you tell me probably 6 or 8 times about Gary Halbert's restaurant marketing approach. And I think that, I think that would be a great way to wrap this up after we're done here, because that story lands this idea in a way that makes it absolutely permanently clear in your mind that you understand exactly what you're doing here. And I think that would be a great way to wrap this up. But why don't we dive in and get to work? And let me see what you've got here, and we can
Yeah.
try to figure out if this is on point for who we're talking to.
So this is a page and a paragraph long. So I'll begin reading here. So this is written on behalf of the prospect. This is the prospect telling us, who he or she is, what's going on, and why they have this urgent dilemma. So I'm spending money on ads, making sales, but not enough profit to scale. Every time I try to increase my ad spend, I lose money while my competitors scale effortlessly. Rising ad costs are making it worse. I see others growing, spending more, acquiring more customers while I work around the clock for less and less. I've tried everything: hiring agencies, copywriters, and CRO experts, conversion rate optimization experts, only to watch them waste my time and money. I've rewritten my sales page, tested new offers, split tested my funnel, and launched countless ads, but still no breakthrough. I've switched from Facebook to Google, from Google to YouTube, from YouTube to Instagram, from Instagram to TikTok, but nothing has worked. How are my competitors generating so many sales at a profit while I struggle? Every morning I wake up stressed, knowing I'm running out of time. I've spent months, years trying to break through and scale, but I'm still stuck. I see guys who started after me scaling to 6, 7, and even 8 figures, while I feel trapped and frustrated watching my vision and goals for this business slip away. This business was supposed to give me financial freedom, control over my future, and the life I always dreamed about for myself and my family. Instead, I'm working around the clock, feeling stuck, not earning anywhere near the income I always wanted. If I can't fix this soon, rising ad costs will weed me out of existence, and I'll have no choice but to shut down my business and admit failure. I really don't want to go back to a job. I look like such a fool to my wife, family, and friends.
I love all of this. One of the other, you correct me where I'm wrong. I do think that the person we're selling to, is generating 5, 6, 7, 8, $50 million in their business and has experienced tremendous success. And they may have even been speaking on a stage where they were given some award because of the tremendous success that they have achieved in sales. which only heighten one, it does give them some feeling of superiority, that like maybe this kind of thing is below them. They may also, because they've had so much success in the past, they may easily dismiss others who, because they have this feeling of superiority, because so it's, kind of getting their attention by recognizing I have been successful. I have created, millions of dollars. I have, created offers that have sold, tens of millions of dollars over the course of a couple of years. I am successful. And yet now I am, at this point, at this plateau, at this frustration point, I'm busier than ever. I'm working harder than ever and falling behind. So I do think that we probably would be best to acknowledge, the previous success and winners that this person's been able to create, almost like an alchemist, being able to make money from the thin air, because then that sets up even more shame and frustration when they're not able to continue that streak.
Well, I think this is the value and the power of this particular exercise, because it forces us to really consider who is in fact our prime customer for this, who is our prime prospect. To me, this urgent dilemma is definitely targeted to the masses. It's designed to, go out and capture the largest kind of segment of motivated buyers. And what I'm hearing you say is, well, maybe there's another option. Maybe there's another way to think about this. Maybe instead of going after, the largest segment of guys, maybe we could just focus this SaaS exclusively to super successful guys, of which there's a much smaller market for that. But this is a really good conversation. Are we looking to build this SaaS for mass appeal, or are we looking to make this a very kind of a boutique solution for very successful guys?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good point too. Now, I guess I had in mind our first 10 or 20 that we're looking to work with, and onboard as part of our beta testers, and possibly even, invite a couple of them to be investors in this. But I do think that if this is going more to the masses, I think that we would also want to weave in some confusion and overwhelm with the volume of choices that there's so many things to do. There's so many platforms. There's an unlimited, like, how many people are actually utilizing all the features of their CRM? Like, and here we're introducing like a whole nother thing to bolt on to what they're already doing. And they're not even like 20% through the features they got. And so it's like, geez, I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. Do I do this? Do I do that? Where do I turn? I think for the masses, there would be some element of confusion and overwhelm.
And do you think that what it is that we would be offering is a solution to that in any way?
I do, because we're solving about 14 different problems, in one fell swoop, because this has a feature set that would ordinarily be at least 3 bolt-ons. And not only are we solving the 3 by having one, but we're also creating the campaigns and simplifying not just the what, but also the how to, and giving them in, one onboarding sequence that's going to last them maybe, 10 minutes, and really is just a matter of pasting in a few links to their site and then reviewing what we've generated in terms of campaigns and clicking approve. They're going to, it's like, I can tick the box in 10 minutes and be able to double or triple the conversion of our cart.
Well, that's fabulous. I would never have connected what we are offering in terms of this SaaS, which provides, which recoups lost sales on the order form, with saving time, and reducing complexity in the business. So that is, so everything that I put in here, ultimately in my own mind, all of these problems when it comes to introducing our, unique solution to this urgent dilemma, all of the unique solution, the elements of this unique solution is like a exact match for all of these specific problems. So if we can also add in what you're talking about there, I think absolutely that this would make this a lot more compelling for people, because undoubtedly these guys are running around with their shirt on fire, just completely overwhelmed and stressed out. I guess the big strategic question here is what was raised a moment ago. Like there's a number of issues here, but I guess the big macro kind of issue on the table is, are we going after the kind of masses for this, or are we going after more of the higher level guys? Because certainly my vision for what I'm creating here is that this is a offer that we're going to be able to scale on cold traffic. We're going to try and take in the maximum amount of internet business owners humanly possible. And to me, the guys that are spending money and are on ads and not making enough profit and dealing with rising ad costs, those are the guys that have their toes held close to the fire and are therefore most motivated to, find relief and find a solution here. And I think that as I kind of masterminded, who is it that is who's got the urgent dilemma, but to select an urgent dilemma that's relevant to the masses. Yeah. I became very excited when I started looking at the quantity of advertising dollars being spent on Amazon, Google, YouTube, Instagram. It really led me to believe, oh my goodness, this is a niche that is far greater than than I initially thought. This is kind of massive, and I think that if we are going after the masses. Well, I guess in your mind, should we be targeting the masses, or should we be targeting someone who is a lot more further up the chain than that?
Let me attempt to answer that question by not talking about what's in my mind, but what would be in the mind of an investor in this company. If for an investor of this company, would you rather invest in a company that's targeting all e-commerce and solving the problem that they all face as paying advertising in Facebook, Google, and Amazon? Or would you rather invest in a company that is for niche, large scale information publishers, even if you understood what that might be?
Well, that is a question that I'm sure lots of people would have varying different opinions on. To me, I would love to invest in a business that has a unique solution to a very scalable niche. Like I know that when it comes time to sell companies, for example, you're not just selling what's on the table, but you're selling the trajectory of where this business can go in the future. So for me as an investor, if I was thinking about this, I would absolutely be thinking, I want a large niche. I don't want something that's already tapped out. I don't want something that is going to be tapped out. My other thinking as well is if we were to go too small with this, then as an investor, I'm just immediately going to think someone is probably just going to, create a version of this for the masses. And that's going to be the better one to invest in just for sheer volume and growth. But well, I know that there's a complete counter argument to that level of thinking.
Well, I'd love to hear arguments either way in the comments as we try to think through this.
Yeah.
But when you were talking about the amount of money spent on Amazon, Google, and Facebook in terms of advertising, I thought I was visualizing the pitch deck for investors for this SaaS product and seeing the volume of money spent and the return on investment and how this tool could, double, triple, or more the investment that those advertisers are making in advertising, and in a much simpler way, because like this does three things at one time, and it cuts out, like, each one of those three things is 15, 20 vendors that you would otherwise have to, like, all right, what's the pricing? How does this integrate? Is this one going to work with what I'm trying to do? Are they going to be jerks to me? Like, each one of those, you're trying to answer that question, much less integrate those things together into one cohesive and have, proven systems that have been proven to work, integrating those things together, like being able just like in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, have all of that working for you is a massive shortcut in terms of time saving, overwhelm, like frustration, like, getting this done or like by a team is ordinarily a quarter, like, rock of a project, and turning that into a 5 or 10 minute task that could be done on an average, like Tuesday lunchtime, is a massive flip.
I agree. I also think that there's a number of large categories and small categories of businesses where this cart abandonment, sales recovery system, SaaS, that we are creating is going to be immensely relevant too. And as a result of doing research, I really think that one of the largest, and perhaps even the largest, is actually the e-com guys. So it's a question of niching down versus going large. For me, my preference would be go large. And again, it's not that this, it's not that this is copy. So this isn't copy that like ends up in a final sales message, but it is a very targeted bullseye hit in terms of who the solution would be primarily targeted to.
And I think it's too that the only other thing about the urgent dilemma, because this year seems to be my year of ecom. I've been asked to create an ecom course for subscriptions, and which I'll be rolling out next month. I've been, I've gotten, several leads from these e-commerce businesses, and that they're buying up to join and to be part of my group, when ordinarily they would be way too small and couldn't afford it. So it seems to be the theme is e-com. I do think that, you have this bullet, I've switched from Facebook to Google to YouTube, that kind of running around, nothing has worked. It's even more like, just like they're giving up even on paid traffic. They just just cannot. I don't like, they're like, and they're hiring agencies and they're having these agency meetings, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is going to be the one, and they're going to help me get the paid traffic right. And then that agency, of course, is telling them that they got to do an inexpensive offer, that, they got to like essentially give away their product in order to try to get a renewal on a subscription, or it's, and they're like, oh my God, I've been selling this way for years. Like, it's such a, like, there's such a turmoil, like just a basic, I don't even know if I'm in business. Like, I got this thing and it used to sell, but now it doesn't quite sell. And like, it's amazing talking with these folks. It's, these are successful people, but yet they're stuck in this place, and they don't know if they're going to be able to make it work after all.
Yeah, I think that that's the vast majority of guys, in the internet business world. I was talking to somebody there recently who does a lot of tremendous amount of cold traffic advertising, and he was saying over the last 3 years, their cost per click has gone up 300%. And like that's a 100% increase in traffic cost, per year. So every year it's going up and up and up and up, and it's never going down. There's never been a point in time in internet marketing history where the cost of advertising all of a sudden did an about turn and is going down. So these guys are hurting, and they may have been succeeding in the past. They may have been doing well, but what's happening is they're just their volume is going down and down and down, and they know which way their business is trending, and that's kind of the rock and the hard place. I've got this issue, and I've got this rock, and I'm not making enough profit. I'm worried my business is going to go out of business. I've tried everything and nothing is working, but yet if I don't fix it, I'm doomed.
Yeah.
I think not only is the vast majority of players, because I want, this has to be targeted to players, in my opinion. There is the guys that are doing the social media and the free traffic route, but I don't think their toes are so close to the fire. These guys that are spending money, it's do or die for them. So I feel like not only is the vast majority of advertisers in that scenario, that rock and a hard place scenario, but those that are not in it today are going to be in it tomorrow. Because this is just going to get worse and worse and worse. So the size of the market for this urgent dilemma, if it's relevant to X percentage of the market, it's going to be relevant to X plus more, each quarter that goes by, because the traffic cost is just going up and up and up. So I really feel that this is not just targeted to the masses. I feel like this is a growing problem that's only going to make an ad targeted to these guys be, more and more scalable as time goes on.
I agree. All right. So what else? So we've looked at this urgent dilemma. Is there what other pieces have you been working on to help think through the triggers for our customer?
Yeah. So, ultimately there's kind of a formula that I follow to kind of build this stuff out before ever kind of, to just get clear on the project at hand. I think maybe perhaps the next section on this would make a great episode for, next week's podcast if we wanted to do that. But I mean, are we in alignment here that this is the guy, this is the business owner, this is the type of clients that we want to target? Or do you feel that we're, as I mentioned earlier, 5 degrees off the bullseye and it should be someone else, or there's a different way to think?
No, I absolutely, well, and also I think what this conversation has given me clarity over is that we are targeting the e-commerce that have paid traffic, and that the what the picture that just keeps coming into my mind is of that investor deck that says, this much money is being spent on Facebook, Google, and Amazon ads, and that those ads have only gotten exponentially more expensive in the last few years, and that these e-commerce businesses are increasingly pinched and searching for how to get more out of the leads that they're already paying for, and that this can be a breakthrough that helps them continue to advertise and grow. And once we're as we have adding a couple of other additional beta users that have come forward and want to test this, that we can have more demonstrations of 50% increases, 80% increases, 200% increases, that's going to, add the proof to this, hey, yeah, this is going to be able to help you, be profitable with ads again, paid ads again.
And I think that there's two kind of primary categories. And within each category, there's a lot of categories of prospects for this. But the two main types of businesses, in my opinion, that this is, directly relevant to is e-commerce guys and information marketers. And, within each of those categories, as I mentioned, there's a number of subcategories. There's also a lot of service providers that this would be, we, with a little bit of extra effort in terms of our deliverable, we could open up an enormous segment of the marketplace that would be service providers. There's a lot of agencies, there's a lot of, all the service providers that are out there that this type of thing would be relevant to. With that said, in terms of like us getting an MVP of the SaaS kind of launched, I think the easiest way to kind of narrow this down is that it is e-com guys and information marketers. Those guys are directly relevant to what we have in mind for our solution.
So I definitely want to chat about that Halbert story about how to market a restaurant. That I think would be a completely appropriate way to wrap up our discussion here. But I think that we do have one glaring problem, and that is what this person is looking for is a better ad or a better converting sales page. And what we're about to offer. So it's like, the restaurant, our restaurant serves sushi and they want a hamburger. And so like, there is a little bit of a switch where, like, I talk to people all the time that are selling payment processing, and they want to come in and help you with your payment processing. And they're going to be able to save, a nickel off of every transaction. And that's going to add up to, thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But for most business owners, payment processing is a tick box, or a box that they ticked, a few years ago, and they're like moving on to the next thing. And so for our customer, like, their tech stack and how and their funnel and what they do to convert a customer is a box that they've ticked a while ago, and we're asking them to revisit that. And like, all right, this thing that you set up and you spent a bunch of time and money on, and you're very, very proud of, and that, you may think that you're a fabulous copywriter, and so you did it yourself, or maybe you spent a bunch of money and hired somebody else to do it. But, now all of a sudden we're inviting you to revisit that, and you've thought about this and it's been too hard to implement in the past. There's a lot of logistics, and you haven't really, even maybe some compliance, and you haven't really broached that. But now all of a sudden there's another voice coming around that says, maybe you ought to try this. And it's like, no, is it, how do we get them to be like, I looked at that, it's too hard. I tried that and it didn't work. We're coming from a side of, they want an ad, they want a better ad, they want better creative, they want a lead magnet that converts better. And here we're showing up with a tech solution.
Yeah. So this is a copy. This is a direct advertising challenge. It's mapping out, and this is why this type of exercise is so critically essential to success, is because there's so many things that are going into this. But one of the things that this type of exercise forces us to do is navigate the journey, create the roadmap to the sale. So one of the things, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is, hey, these guys are over here and what we have to sell is on the opposite side. How do we create this bridge between the two so that there's this massive desire between, where they are and where we need them to be? And, those are like effective transition strategies in sales copy. And one of the great transition strategies that I believe is the best tool in the toolbox for this job is what I kind of call the silent killer. It's this understanding that, hey, you think that the problem is this, and you're right, that is the problem, but all of that is really a symptom of like the root cause of this thing. Or else, in this case, it's, hey, you're looking for the solution over here, but what you don't understand is that the greatest opportunity, to solve your problem is actually over here. And I guess that's going to, while that might be a little vague, it'll become glaringly obvious to everybody on our next podcast when we dive into, how we're going to position this solution. So there's a great little cliffhanger and, a way to get people to turn up for our next episode. But this exercise highlights the job to be done to make the sale. And that's why I love going through this, is because most guys just sit down and they start creating advertising, but they don't really know what the job is. They don't know what the journey is. They don't know how to walk someone down a path from where they are, to where you ultimately need them to be. They don't know what that journey looks like. They just jump in and they try and sell something. And this is why the success rates are very low with that approach. The real strategists, the real masterminders of breakthrough advertising are the guys that spend a long time working through exercises like this to flesh out all of the reasons why this doesn't make sense, to flesh out all of the reasons why someone wouldn't buy this, and to kind of build that into the plan long before advertising, a lick of advertising is even written. And it's through calls like this that like these types of successes are masterminded. And by the way, I learned from Gary Halbert, perhaps the greatest guy to ever do the business of advertising, that you can do everything right and still get it wrong. But I'll tell you what, if you don't have a clue about what you're doing, you're definitely going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So
And what I find fascinating is, you've sold hundreds of millions of dollars in over the last 25 years, with copy and advertisements that you've created. And, you could bust off some headlines, and you could you could start writing this and have something out the door in a few hours. Like the idea, there's this temptation to skip this and go straight to trying to make money. And I think that it's absolutely, you have certainly discovered that's a recipe for failure and frustration. And doing this homework first is the recipe for, for being efficient with your ad dollars, being smart with the emails that you send to your customers, and really in the long run, or even, in the very near term, having a series of winners rather than being frustrated by, very mediocre results.
yeah, and I kind of got it, along those lines. I got that from Halbert. Halbert, would always say, hey, if you're going to invest the time to like really make something work, you really got to give it your best effort, so that even if it doesn't work, which is always a possibility, then at least you can walk away and be like, I gave it everything. Whereas if you don't give it everything, well, then, you're kind of in this nowhere land. Do I need to go back, put in a bit of more effort? Like, did I really fail, or did I not just put in the right level of effort? But yeah, I kind of view this stuff all the time as like, and I think I mentioned this to you, you got to pick your, when you're doing this for a long time and you've wasted a lot of time and you've wasted a lot of money and you've wasted a lot of energy, you tend to slow down and kind of do things a lot more methodically. There's really only so many projects that you can take on in a given year. I just for this, this is a big deal for you and me and our partner, John. And I would, we're putting money down, we're going after this. We think we've got an excellent solution. And the last thing we want to do is just, do a half-arsed job on advertising and for it all to fail at that stage. So really putting forward the effort that is needed to try and make this as great as humanly possible is warranted in this situation.
All right. Do you want to wrap up?
He had this seminar that he would do all the time. And in the seminar, he would say to everybody, hey, let's say that like you and me have like a hot dog stand, I'm going to give you every opportunity to like sell more hot dogs than me. You can have anything you want, whatever you want. And he would go around the room and all the guys would say, I want like, I want the best hot dog meat and, I want the best condiments and, another guy would say, I want the best prices and so on and so forth. Everyone would give their understanding of what is needed to like outsell Halbert with this hot dog stand. And he used to say, I'm going to give you guys all of that. You can have all of that. Every last one of you can have that. And I'll still outsell you if you just give me one thing. And everyone was like, what is the one thing? And he would say, a starving crowd. If you have a starving crowd, you don't need the best hot dog, you don't need the best condiments, you don't need the best prices, you don't need anything. All you got to do is have a hot dog and you're going to outsell everyone. And the whole idea is that essentially it draws your attention to who's the most likely person to buy in your niche. Where's the rabid, starving crowd of buyers in your niche? And all of that has influenced everything that I do. This is just this is just that concept filtered through me and all of the experience that I've done. I label it an urgent dilemma, and I'm trying to find that person who's most likely to buy. And in my understanding, in my experience, and everything that I've figured out, the person who is most likely to buy is, number one, the person who has the most urgent problem. What is an urgent problem? An urgent problem is a problem that doesn't get any better. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse the longer it goes on. But not only that, it's a problem that is very emotional. There's lots of emotions in there. Like there's in that urgent dilemma, we talked, like there's emotions in there. There's, frustration, there's fear, there's envy, there's anxiety, there's shame. There's all sorts of emotions that are wrapped up in that whole little dilemma that people are in. But that person who is caught between a rock and a hard place, and they've tried everything, but if they don't find a solution, they're doomed. That's who I'm looking for in every niche, because that is the person that I've identified, niche after niche after niche after niche, who is most likely to buy. The trick, if it can be said this way, is to make sure that your urgent dilemma, that the prospect that you target, that urgent dilemma is a dilemma that opens up the masses to you rather than forcing you into a small space with a very low ceiling so that you can't scale. A lot of guys get it wrong and they choose like this super small segment of the market. And yeah, they're crushing it. Their conversions are amazing. They're doing really well. But guess what? It's just there's a very short runway of growth that they can go through because they picked an urgent dilemma that is only relevant to a very small number of people. So the goal all the time is to try and identify this urgent dilemma that's relevant to the masses. That's where the trick is. That's where the most difficult aspect of it is. And in my kind of mode of marketing, I've been trained and I've kind of built my career around going after the most amount of guys humanly possible. So I know that there are niches where that doesn't always make sense. And I think that type of exercise can easily be customized to, niches where you are going after a small number of super clients. But one way or another, if you're not doing this urgent dilemma thing, you're really missing out on something that can skyrocket your likelihood of success in this game.
Wow, that's absolutely brilliant. And man, I need to get back to the programmers. I've got to outline the onboarding process and how we're how we're bringing our customers on and simplifying all of the fulfillment for them. And I can't wait till our next episode where we can get into these emotional triggers and really kind of take this ultimate dilemma and really pull back the fundamental emotions that are driving this dilemma that are going to serve the foundation for the copy, the web video, demo video, and all the other pieces that are going to go into making this a quick win SaaS product versus something that just languishes with a couple hundred users that doesn't seem to ever scale past this little group of loyalists that never talk about it and wouldn't think of quitting, but they're not referring either. So I think this is the real key that helps one of these businesses break through, and absolutely can't wait to dive into that on the next episode.
Fabulous. All right. Okay. Good stuff. Well,
all right, we'll talk to you soon, and make sure if you haven't already, subscribe and certainly give us a like, and love to hear your comments about this, any things we discussed in this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, comments, questions, or even advice on, what we could do there, it would be warmly received. So,
and anything that you can do to rebut Caleb's comments and really geez, the man, we got to admit that he's brilliant, but he does have a big head. If you could put him in his place, I would really appreciate it.
Be back in my box. Yeah, good stuff.